Today's review needs no introduction because this is Putty 25 from Verdant. But what is it going to be like? Keep on watching to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Today we've got a haircut. Yeah, we've got the haircut. We wanted to get crack out Putty after everything's ready for it, because every year you see a wave of Putty reviews on the internet. I've tried to avoid most of them. I probably have seen a few, but it's actually a month or so since it's come out. So I'm recording this the 1st of March, and I wanted to leave it a little bit this year because last year and subsequent years I've had it, it can be a little bit green, you know, it can be a little bit too fresh because it comes out, everyone's hyped about it, and we're cracking it open. And it's very rare that I will drink a can of beer where I think it's been canned and I'll drink it within the first week of it being canned. But something about Putty, it comes out, you want to buy it because you know that if you don't buy it straight away, it will get sold out and you won't be able to get it. So you buy it straight away, and then of course everyone's talking about it, so you think, I'm going to drink it, see what the hype's about. So you drink it early. But sometimes, I think last year wasn't too bad, but other times it has been a little bit too much, too early, you know. So I've left it a good month this time, which, you know, it means it's still pretty damn fresh. But maybe it's, you know, some of the edge off of it has come off a little bit. So I feel that I have to say anyway, if you don't know what it is, Putty, it comes out every year. It's a hype beer. It's a January double IPA in a month where people are maybe doing dry January or they're cutting back on their beer. But it seems like every year now, there's more double IPAs in January than there is any other month in the year. So there was a time when this came out and it was probably, you know, the best beer you could buy in January. But there's been some great beers. I can put that down, so I don't know now. There's been great beers that have been released in January. And I've noticed as well that they've all been released this year. So we had Swedish Buzzsaw, that was a double IPA from Azvex, very good. I had that for the first time this year, very good beer. Blood Machines from Rivington, which was last year. I said that I think this is better than Putty. Similar sort of hops as well. I've got it in my fridge, and I was thinking about double reviewing it, but double reviewing double IPAs, it's a bit of a crazy thing to do. So I don't even know if I'm going to review it, because I reviewed it last year and it gets to a point where generally just a repeat of last year. I might do. We'll see how good this is, really, and we'll see whether, you know, we can compare it easily. And there's been some other double IPAs in January. I mean, I've had some. We've had the, I'm sure it was in January, I had the double IPA that was Polly's in collaboration with Sure Shot, which I think at this point in time is probably my beer of the year. 85, I think it was, a very good beer. So lots of double IPAs out there. So there's a more competition. So can Putty still sort of stick its head above the parapet? Well, the only way we can really find this out is to open it and drink it. So 3 minutes in, let's do just that. I've made sure this is perfectly conditioned in terms of taking it out of the fridge. It's been out of the fridge for 45 minutes. So I'm expecting it to be at optimum temperature. And as I say, I've left it a month. So all the signs there are there to be enjoyed, this beer to be enjoyed at its finest. And beer in a glass, well, something about these, I think something about this glass, I've had a lot of this sticking carbonation to the glass. I don't know whether it's just the way that it cleans or something like that, but that will soon disappear. Colour-wise, as normal with Putty, it is a very sort of hazy beer. And there is it's a little bit more than custard. It's got a bit more of a slight orangey tinge to it, more like your old Caramac sort of colour. We've got 2 fingers just off white head, pretty loose bubbles at the side, pretty dense on top. I mean, it looks very similar to lots of double IPAs. It's the right sort of colour. It looks the part. It looks thick. I'd be interested to see when that sort of carbonation's not sticking on the glass. I don't know if that's because, I don't know why it is actually. Let me know. Let me know when you see beers like that. It's because sometimes you pour beers and you don't get any of that, and sometimes you do. And as it calms down, maybe I should have, I don't want to sort of aggressively pour this sort of beer because especially in this glass, because it shoots up really quickly. But anyway, it's settled down a little bit. Looks pretty good in the glass. Let's see what the aroma's like. Well, certainly potent in terms of its aroma. And it's very much on the dank side. So there's this real weediness in the aroma. Real over-ripened fruits. When I smell this, it smells like what I always think double IPAs used to always smell like. They all smell like this, you know, very sort of pungent, weedy, dank. And that dankness and hoppiness you can get a little bit confused that it's like, oh, is that alcohol as well in there? But for me, it smells like there's loads of hops in it. There's lots of sort of, you know, much more on the mango and stone fruit side. It's got a Zaka, Galaxy and Mosaic. These are all, to some extent, quite dank hops. There's nothing really that bright in there. So it's always a very sort of, it's a chewy, very flavoursome, but slightly dank beer. But anyway, I think I'm 5.5 minutes, nearly 6 minutes in. I've got to start drinking. So here we go. Cheers, everyone. Oh. Yeah, I mean, that is a real strong flavour. And the first thing I taste when I drink that is apricots. Apricots, lots of stone fruits, less of the sort of lighter, sweeter peach, because there's not much sweetness in this beer. Much more about the apricots and maybe over-ripened mango, maybe a little bit of passion fruit. There's all of that sort of stuff. Lots of stone fruit, tropical flavours. You're not getting much in the way of light lemon and lime citrus. You're getting a bit of weediness on the background, but in the background really, that sort of just comes through really. I say on the background, it's almost on the back end really, I would say. So after that big juice hit of apricots and mango and passion fruit and that sort of stuff, then you're left with this sort of dry finish with a sort of slightly weediness and a slight sort of hint, I suppose, of grapefruit as well. And that is really it. I mean, it's body-wise, it's smooth. It's got a medium sort of body. It has that sort of oily texture. So the flavours are really sort of sticking really to the mouth. And it's got a sticky sort of flavour, if that makes any sort of sense. You think of fruit that's sort of like, you know, say been left out a little while and you pick it up and it's a little bit sort of sweaty, a little bit sort of sticky. This is the flavour that you're getting. It's almost like fruit gone bad to some extent. There is that little bit of sort of over-ripened to the fruit is on the turn, as it were. But it's definitely about stone fruits. It's definitely about tropical flavours. And it's about dankness as well. And for me, I thought I'd be more prepared for it this year. I thought I would enjoy it more because I've drank more double IPAs this year than probably subsequent years. But the dryness, there's almost a little bit of pine on the back end as well. A little bit of piney finish, a bit of resin. As I say, there is grassiness, there's earthiness, there's all that sort of stuff, which, you know, a lot of people are big fans of when it comes to the double IPAs. But for me, I want something a little bit brighter. I know this is a double IPA drinking it. You know, if I drank this blind, straight away I'd go, yeah, you get hit with the fruit, but straight after you get hit with all this earthy flavour. And I want something brighter. I want something more lighter in terms of the citrus flavours. And I want something a little sweeter. There's no sweetness in this beer at all. There's some really cracking double IPAs that I've certainly really enjoyed because there's a little bit more sweetness in them. And I think, you know, there are always two camps with double IPAs. There's the ones that like them dank and sweaty as much as you can. And there's others which, like me, that probably a little bit more, I don't know, they just want a little bit more refreshment from the double IPA. Strange when you're talking about an 8% beer, but I want a little bit more refreshment. I want it. This is not a beer that's easy drinking. It's not a beer that's moreish in a way that, you know, some IPAs are, for example. In that there's not there's not a level of refreshment. It's almost like it's a slightly more chewy is the best way to describe it. You're chewing through those flavors instead of just letting them slide down. So I hope that makes sense. I mean, for me, it's good, but I think last year's was better. I mean, again, it could be a lot to do with how I've had it. I've had it in the fridge for a month. I would have thought that it wouldn't go bad in that time. It hasn't gone bad, but it's maybe it would have been a bit lighter. But now I'm starting to get more of the sweatiness than I remember from last year. And to be honest, with the great double IPAs that we've had, it's not worth the money. It really isn't, because £8.75 I paid for this, and that was quite reasonable compared with some of the prices I was seeing it go for. Now, as I said, I'm recording this beginning of March, and Putty, or Putty, triple T, because it's a triple IPA, is also out now, and I've seen that on the web store for something like £12. I mean, it's a triple IPA, but that's a lot of money. And £8.75, it's overhyped. You know, when I think I've had some of those great double IPAs at the end of last year, the ones from Gravity Well that were really good, the Cloudwater one as well that was good, I was paying around like £6 for those, and this is £8.75. So I don't think it's worth the money. It is overhyped. I think I will probably end up buying it next year because I'll go with the rest. I'll get FOMO, you know what it's like. But I think next year I'll make a point of drinking it earlier, because I don't know whether I've left it a month. It's not as good as it would have been, because the reviews that I have seen, or the comments I've seen, is saying, "Oh, this is great. This is better than the 2024 version." But I thought 2024 version was pretty good and better than the years before. So I don't know. It's difficult. People maybe have bad memories and they just drink it in December and in January, and they think, "Oh yeah, I haven't drank much. I drank this and it's great. It's lovely." But you know, I think there's a lot better out there in terms of double IPAs. Don't get me wrong, it's good. It's Verdant, and Verdant make great beers, you know. It's still a great beer, but for me, I want something lighter, I want something sweeter, and I want a bit more brightness in flavour. So, let's get some scores. Okay, the scores are in for Putty 25. This is from Verdant. It's got Galaxy, Azaka, and Mosaic in it. Mosaic, yes, 8%. Yeah, what can we say? Everyone knows what it is. Everyone knows about it. It's hyped up every year. Let's go through the scores, starting with aroma, appearance, flavour, value for money. I think because of the hype and because of the cost, I'm definitely giving it a lower score than I would normally for something like this. Even if it's an 8% beer, you can buy double IPAs for like two and a bit quid less. So hence why this score. And then finally, my overall experience. Okay, so we top the scores up. We get a recommended, and it's at the slightly higher end, 77 out of 100. It's, as I say, it's a very good beer, but it's overhyped, and I think you're always going to be disappointed, especially if you've had them over the years. Now, I went, before I did the scoring, I went back and I looked at all the scores that I did for Putty in the past. Now, I had it in 24, and I didn't have it in 23 for some reason. I had it in 22, and I had it in 21. So last year, it got 83 out of 100. So that was highly recommended, and I was at that point where that was where I really started becoming a big fan of double IPAs. And as I said, I think it was better last year. Whether it was the timing, I don't know. So 83. So I thought, oh, well, maybe the years before that, they were all in the 80s. But I was surprised that they weren't. So in 22, it was 79. So 79 is higher than this year at 77, but lower than last year. And then in 21, it was 76. Now, back in 21, I wasn't really drinking much double. I might have had half a dozen double IPAs in the whole year. So maybe that's why that score was lower. But again, you think of all the great double IPAs that we've had. If you added up all the double IPAs, this one wouldn't be up there with some of the best ones we've had. We've had beers of 80, 82, 83, 84, 85, lots of those sort of beers. So overhyped, but again, maybe it's the hops, maybe it's the way it is. But for me, It's a good beer, but it isn't a great one. So let me know in the comments what you think. Whether you've probably, everyone's had it by now. You've maybe seen other reviews and stuff. And if you've had it this year and last year, do you think it's better this year than it was last year? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, no, if you drank another beer around about the same sort of time as this has been out, have you thought, God, that Verdant is so overhyped, there are better double IPAs I can buy right now and for a lot less money? Let me know in the comments which ones they are. And until the next one, well, please like, subscribe, and drink good craft beer and keep on rocking.